What's up, guys? Mason the Brock Henderson here, and this is The Walking Dead Season 8, Episode 5, The Big Scary You. So, this one was pretty interesting because, well, we see a side of Negan that we have yet to see. So the setup for this episode is really, really good because you've got pretty much three stories going on. First of all, you've got a little bit of a continuation on Rick and Daryl and what happened at the end of last episode, which is, they managed to track down the truck. They talk to the guy asking him what happened at the compound. He tells them that everybody in the kingdom is gone, all the people are dead. So, of course, they're dealing with that thought of no more fighters in the kingdom. So Daryl sees a bunch of dynamite in the truck and is like, alright, let's just blow a hole in the sanctuary and let the walkers go get everybody. So, this is where, once again, the moral for this season of do you go after people and kill everybody in your path, or do you let people live because you want to show them mercy? Once again, it rears its, I wouldn't say ugly head, because it is pretty interesting how they're handling it so far, but this leads to a fight between Daryl and Rick because they have differing ideologies right now. Daryl is just like, let's just kill everybody, they all deserve it. Similar to what we have just heard Negan saying to Father Gabriel in the trailer. So it's kind of interesting to see the dueling thing where Gabriel's telling Negan, you killed people. Is that what you want to confess? He's like, no, I did. I killed them, but Rick got those people killed. Daryl's kind of thinking with the same mindset of it's their fault. They're the ones that followed Negan, so we're not the ones that are at fault here. They are. And so, it's kind of interesting to see how Daryl's sort of going down this path of leading towards what Negan is. And Rick is, of course, trying to not go that way because he wants to find something better. He wants to find a better outcome. So they end up fighting. Kind of a funny scene after the whole fight because Daryl chokes him out, but Rick manages to toss the dynamite away and then it blows up. So they don't have any sort of weapons now, which is very unfortunate. But as they're heading up to the road, they're talking about their next plan of action, and Rick throws in, chokeholds are illegal, asshole. It's like, yeah, they are. So it was just a funny little scene there, but ultimately it looks like, based on what we see at the end of this episode and also from the previews for next week, it looks like Rick's plan is to go talk to the junkyard people again. I don't know what he plans to get out of this because, frankly, we kind of saw at the end of last episode, they're pretty simple-minded. So, who says they're not going to just betray you again? You could easily set up for it this time knowing that there's a possibility that they might betray you. But I don't know, it just seems kind of pointless to try to talk to them again. Maybe if he kills Jada, the leader, then maybe he'll be able to reason with the rest of them, but I think she is like, we're going to follow Negan, he gave us guns, and he seems to be more in control right now. So, I don't know, maybe it'll lead to something, maybe it won't. We'll see next week. But Daryl decides to leave Rick on his own. I don't know if that was part of the plan, like if Daryl already had something else to do, or if he was actually supposed to go with Rick to the junkyard place. So now they're splitting up. We also see the other two stories in this episode involve the sanctuary. The first one involves the right-hand men and one woman of Negan. So there's Simon, there's Gavin, there's Dwight, there's Eugene, and then there's Regina. So these are the little group of people that are trying to figure out what to do with Negan gone. They're assuming he's probably dead, being in a herd of walkers, and so they're trying to figure out how to step up. They, of course, realize, no, wait, we're Negan too, so we need to step up and lead. And so this build-up for this episode is brilliant because we get to see what things are going to be like without Negan. Without a leader there, they struggle. And it kind of goes to show that the people at the sanctuary, none of them wanted to revolt, none of them had a problem, but then as soon as Negan's gone, now they're trying to revolt, now they're stepping up, they're leaving the factory floor, which is where they're supposed to stay. You look at these other outposts or these other territories that Negan's group is trying to control, Simon was in charge of the hilltop, they kind of got sick of it and decided to follow Maggie instead of Gregory. Gavin was in charge of the kingdom. They were doing little things like feeding them pigs that they had fed walkers. They're shorting them on some supplies from time to time. And, they weren't happy because Negan wasn't there. It was his right-hand men, and they're not quite as intimidating, and they're not quite as good of a leader either. The only group that was pretty much under their control for a long time, or at least under their complete control, was Rick's group, because Negan was personally there. And even then, his people are so resilient, and their will was so great that it didn't matter that Negan was there, because Rick is just as good a leader. So he was able to sort of take over the power that Negan was trying to put his people under. So I don't know. I just kind of like that little comparison of seeing the right hand men not being able to get the job done, while Negan, after their little debacle, steps into the room, and all of a sudden all the people are quiet and they're kneeling, and that's the ability he has. And it kind of, I will say this, I'll talk about the trailer scene in a second, but it does kind of make me think that Gabriel maybe shouldn't have let him live. Maybe just say, you know what, I'll sacrifice myself if it means this war is over. Because frankly, the war would have ended right there. The people would have overthrown the right-hand men of Negan. There's no way they would have stood for it. Negan wouldn't have been involved. He's the only one that's able to give them this sort of power and have the possibility of fighting back at all. So, yeah, it does kind of feel like maybe Gabriel should have just sacrificed himself and let Negan die at the same time, because that way now Negan's dead and they've got no leadership. They've got no way to control anybody else. So I will say I'm a little bit disappointed with Gabriel with that, but aside from that, the rest of the trailer stuff was really, really awesome. Just the conversations there were so well done. Just from the very first moment, even, seeing Gabriel sitting there, maybe this is my purpose. Maybe I'm here for your confession. And just that smug little smirk on his face was brilliant. And Gabriel has grown on me as a character. When we first met him, he was he was just a Weasley little character, kind of similar to Gregory, in fact, which makes it kind of ironic that he saved Gregory and then ended up in this predicament. But yeah, I didn't like him. I thought he was a weasel. I thought he would sell anybody out just to save his own skin. And now he's actually grown into a likable character. He's grown into a character that I feel like has a chance to survive, because he's learned how to fight. He's learned how to be strong and not just take crap and not be scared. Now he's actually brave and ready to fight with Rick and his people. So I really like how they handled their whole conversation. Him talking to Negan, trying to get Negan to confess to what his weakness is, because Negan's saying, everyone has weakness, but I'm strong. I've used my weakness as part of my strength. But then we come to find out, after a lot of stuff goes on, a lot of talking, then finally Gabriel finds that point. He finds that soft spot in Negan, because he's talking about his wives. And you can see Negan just gets pissed and starts walking away. And then Gabriel starts questioning even deeper. He's like, so did you have a wife before all this? Did you have one true life that you would have forever? And then Negan's like, give me strength. And then turns to fight, and then Gabriel takes a shot, misses. And so wrestle, throws him down, and Gabriel runs into the other side of the trailer. And that's where finally Negan realizes that they need to work together if they're both going to get out of there alive. So Gabriel says, if you confess, I'll work with you. I'll show you that redemption is the way. And so finally Negan tells the story of his first wife, his only true wife. One that he cheated on, and then she became sick, and then he lost her whenever everything happened. And he didn't put her down. He let her turn, and he said, that's my weakness. So kind of interesting to see, after everything he did against his wife, cheating with other women and all this stuff. Yeah, it does kind of feel like that had a little something to do with probably why he is how he is now. I don't think this is the whole story, though. I think there's probably some other things that happened after the apocalypse and after he lost his wife and all of that. There's probably a few other things that happened along the way that turned him into the sort of monster he is now, the dictator that he is, because just losing somebody isn't enough to turn you into a total, not necessarily psychopath, but just somebody who is, dictator is the best word for it, just somebody who puts people down and then says, I'm building you up, and then talks about saving people by controlling them and not letting them really have much freedom. It does work, but I think it only works for a time. So, yeah, I see the duality of it. I see both sides to it, but I do think that there's probably more to Negan's story than just that about his wife. I think that's a big part of it, but I still want to know a little bit more about what happened after that. I want to know about the people he met along the way, the the choices he had to make that slowly led him to become Negan, who he is now. Because we know Rick, at first, whenever he lost Lori, that did change something in him. And, when he lost a lot of his people, there were things along the way that changed him. And he was changing slowly, but ultimately who he is now isn't just the result of some of the people that he lost. It was also the result, of what Negan did to him last season. What he did breaking him down, that made him even more determined to fight now because he knows what happened. It broke him down. He knows he was beaten. But now he's trying to find the strength again, and he knows that he's got to be stronger. And it's almost made it to the point where he's not scared of Negan anymore. No matter what happens, even if Negan starts to gain the upper hand, I don't think Rick is ever going to be defeated again. I think, if he ever gets beaten by Negan, that may happen. But I don't think he's ever truly going to have his soul defeated. I don't think he's ever going to be that sort of soul-crushing person or soul-crushed person that Negan wants to see in his victims. So, anyway, that's my little speech on Negan. But ultimately, Gabriel and Negan put on some of the walker stuff on them. And so now they're walking through the walkers. Then Gabriel trips on a walker, and then they all start going after him. So he and Negan are fighting him off, and then they end up, some walkers fall on top of him. But then all of a sudden, they're okay in the next scene. So either something happened in that scene, or they're just saying, oh, look at that, the two of them working together managed to make it out. But we do see at the end of this episode, Eugene goes to Gabriel's room, and Gabriel looks like he's deathly sick. So one possibility, and this is something my mom actually brought up, and it's a good point, there's a possibility that the stuff that they put on them, Negan made some comment about, it might make somebody sick, but it's never happened before or something like that. So there's a possibility that maybe he put it on and then there was some sort of cut in him, and it seeped into the wound or something. So that may have made him sick, or it may be they didn't show that scene where all the walkers fell on them because one of them bit him, probably on the leg or something, or in some area where you can't really see. And so now, he's slowly turning, and I don't know, maybe he plans to just let his walker run amok inside the compound, possibly. I don't know. But yeah, it's a fairly interesting episode as far as they're concerned. There's also some other stuff that happens with the right-hand men. They're talking about the possibility of somebody working inside of the group against them and working for Rick and his group. Of course, Eugene is going to be the main suspect. You can tell Gavin and Regina really suspect him, but Eugene goes into Dwight's room, sees his little toy soldiers that he's been building, gets some paint on his finger, and then sees paint on the bag that Gabriel had. And so he realizes that Dwight is the traitor, but he doesn't sell him out. So either he still wants to help Rick and his group, or he's not sure what to do with the information yet. He's not sure if he's supposed to help Negan or help Rick. I think he's still waiting to see who's going to come out on top, and he's going to side with whoever that person is. So I don't know. I still see Eugene as kind of a wild card in all of this. Not really a bad person, but not really a good person either. He's just playing whatever side it takes to stay alive for the moment. But aside from that, the only other thing to talk about is the beginning of this episode, which I thought was a really great setup. We see Gregory sleeping in the sanctuary and being woken up by Simon with a plate of food. And so this little conversation that they have at the table, he's there, Negan's across from him, and all the other heads of Negan are there. Yeah, that was a pretty funny and also interesting scene, because seeing Gregory just try to talk to Negan and try to be all confident, but you can just tell by the way he's moving, he's just not really that confident. He's trying to seem like he's confident by making his voice all deep and like he's in charge, but you can tell by the way he's nervously kind of fidgeting. He's not really that confident. Either that, or the guy playing Gregory is just not a good actor. So I'm not really sure, because his acting has been sort of back and forth for most of this since we've met him. But it seemed like to me they were making him purposefully a little bit more fidgety, because he's trying to exude confidence, but it's not showing in his body at all. And Negan instantly calls him out on it, saying that he's just playing whatever side that it takes. He's trying to play both sides if he has to. And we saw that. Whenever he went back to Maggie, he was willing to, oh, please let me in, I'll do whatever you say, I'll follow your leadership. So he's just trying to do what it takes to survive. He doesn't care who hurts or how he does it in the process. But yeah, it was a fun little scene. It ends with the scene that kicked off this season, which is Rick and his group showing up outside the sanctuary and all of their cars and shooting the windows out. So yeah, I don't really good scene to start it off. I really enjoyed that. But next week looks like it's going to be more with the junkyard people. Looks like there's going to be, saw Carl in the previews as well, so maybe we'll get to see some of what's going on with Alexandria right now. I don't know, I'm really excited. Looking forward to see what the rest of the season is going to hold. So let me know what you guys think down in the comment section below. What were your thoughts on this episode? Let me know what we can talk about and discuss, all that good stuff. Leave a like and subscribe for future Walking Dead reviews. I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace out.